If you're a single woman over 40 looking for Mr. Right and you're ready to learn the most underrated skill to save time and heartache, you're in the right place. In this season 3 finale, as an intuitive dating coach, I'm answering your burning dating questions. You don't want to miss this. Hello and welcome to episode 12. This is our season finale for season 3, and I cannot believe how fast this has gone by. And I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you're just tuning in right now, I'm going to give you an overview and the highlights of season 3 so you can go back and pick which ones sound the most interesting. And I'm going to answer your burning dating questions. So if you sent in a dating question via email, I'm going to answer it, the key ones that I can get through, and then we will wrap it up for season 3. I'll be taking a bit of a break, not too long, and be back at the end of August, early September for season 4. And it's going to be super exciting. But let's start with the overview of season 3. This was all about how to master your intuition to find love. And that's really my specialty. I'm an intuitive dating coach. I've been doing intuitive work professionally for 18 years and personally for 20 years. Pretty much my whole life, I've been interested in intuition and connecting into your true self, the connection to body, mind, and spirit, and how you can live that out in your love life and in your life in general. That's what I wanted to really focus on, because a lot of women who are dating out there, and I don't know if you can relate to this, I certainly could, in my 40s and just feeling really deflated and exhausted and burnt out on dating and feeling like, I don't know if I want to date anymore. I'm just going to hang up my hat and stop dating, because you weren't tuned into your intuition. You were letting your smart girl brain take over instead of being deeply connected to your inner knowing and your inner wisdom, which is definitely the way to go and the way to attract and find a relationship that feels like home. A quick highlight of season 3. I did Intuition 101. We talked about what is your intuition, what it isn't, and all the reasons why you want to be connected to your intuition. I gave you a basics and a foundational episode in episode 1. And then I talked about how to tap into your intuition, the different ways that you can use your intuition and develop that skill, and how to know the difference between fear and your intuitive messages. That was something that a lot of women were interested in that I've worked with, and my own inner questioning self over the years of learning my intuition is like, how can I tell the difference between being afraid and what's an actual intuitive message? So we dove into that. And then I talked about best practices to develop your intuition. So all of the things I've used over the years and the best way to approach it and how to avoid the pitfalls when you are trying to learn how to tap into your intuition. So that was a really in-depth episode. And then we talked about 3 ways your intuition stops you from dating burnout. That was a 3-part series, really talking about all the different pitfalls in detail. Then I did a 3-part series on manifestation tools for love, and I talked about manifestation. It's not like a totally way out there woo-woo thing. I always bring practical guidance and tools that you can use in your day-to-day life. So it's not like out in left field, and it's something that you can take away and start using it in your dating life today. Then I talked about intuitive dating plan and what it is and why you need it. And that wraps up season 3. So you can go back and find your favorite topics. Remember that I always am open to hearing, what do you want to know about finding love after 40? And please do connect with me. You can go to my website, trulyeleanor.com. You can message me, info@trulyeleanor.com, and just let me know. I would love to hear from you. Let's dive into the questions. These are questions I've received from either through my courses on the course platform or through email. And I wanted to answer the ones that I think would be relevant to you as a listener and a single woman over 40. First one, hi Eleanor. I just wondered if you had any advice or guidance about what sort of things you should find out about someone over messaging on a dating app before deciding to meet. You seem to suggest bringing up a coffee date fairly soon and steering it in that direction. I wondered if you had any recommendations for what to cover before that. It's hard to know if you will like someone from messages, but I also don't want to meet anyone and everyone, as I'm pretty time poor, a single mom with shared custody. Thanks. Also, a follow-up question. When do you suggest you pause your profile? Once you have a couple of dates booked in, or keep online meeting others until you've chosen a partner? I tend to get a lot of messages and likes, but struggle to figure out who to meet, so avoiding feelings of overwhelm is an important factor for me. Thank you so much for your question. This is a great question, and I'll tackle the first one on what's the timeline between meeting someone online and on a dating app versus meeting in person. And I do recommend that you meet as quickly as possible. And I'll tell you why. I give you some examples. I've been on many dates over the years and had a completely different point of view of the person when I was talking to them on the dating app and messaging them versus even talking to them on the phone and meeting them in person. It was like three different people. I always caution you, the longer you spend messaging someone or having in-depth, intimate conversations online and on a dating app versus meeting them in person, you can sometimes feel like, I wasn't even talking to this person. Like, who is this person sitting in front of me? Because I immediately know that I don't want to date them any further and I'm not interested in them. So you would save yourself weeks of time and heartache by just meeting them in person. But the question is really about, what is the deciding factor? How much do you need to like someone on a dating profile and app before you meet them in person? And I would just say, you want the basics. You want to make sure that your deal breakers are covered. The most important things to you, such as, do they live in the same city as you? The age range, because that's important. I wouldn't say being too fixated on it, but if you suddenly find out, oh, they're like 25 years old, and you're like, no, that's a hard pass. You want to know, what is your hard pass? What are your deal breakers before meeting them in person? They want to get married and you don't want to get married. They want to have kids and you don't want to have, or vice versa. Most of the time you can find those things out on their profile and just from some basic messaging like, oh, where do you live? What are you looking for? And some really basic overview questions. Then you go into, how are they communicating with you? If they take 3 days to answer one question, that's a no. You definitely do not want someone like that. They're not going to be available for you. They're not going to be in a cadence and a rhythm that you want to be dating. You definitely don't want to be chasing after someone for one simple question. So are they responding to you in a timely manner? That would be another thing that you're checking out. Do they seem like a nice, normal person? And I say normal in quotes because, of course, we don't need someone to be conventionally normal. I'm just talking about, do they communicate with you in a way that feels like someone is put together on the other side of the computer? For example, do they know how to answer your questions? Are they answering it in a pleasant way? If you're asking some just very basic questions like, oh, what do you like to do on your first date? Or what have your experiences been online so far? And then they answer you in a way that shows that they can communicate, that they have some sort of a personality, and that you like what they're saying in general, as a general rule. If you've gotten through those three kind of hoops, there's no glaring red flags, like they're not saying anything that is mean-spirited or super defensive, or they seem like a very negative person. If none of those things are happening and they're interesting, you like their profile, their pictures are good, then I'd say go for it. Say, okay, well, this sounds great. Why don't we meet for coffee? That's kind of the timeline I'm giving. And of course, it's nuanced and it is based on your situation. If you go through some of those hoops and the person is doing well and you think that they're interesting to a point and you want to find out more about them, then you go for the coffee date. The follow-up question is, when do you suggest you pause your profile? In other words, when you seal the deal, I would say keep dating. You want to be giving yourself different options and not getting trying to tie someone down right away, or vice versa. If someone is immediately coming in really hot and they're like, oh my God, you're the best thing I've ever experienced. You're the best person I've ever met, and you're the love of my life. And it's been like 2 dates. That's a warning flag. You also don't want to be doing that with other people. You want to be dating to the point where you feel comfortable with them and you feel like there is a future, there is a possibility there, and there is something that you're interested in, that you want to continue getting to know them. But at the same time, you don't pause your profile until you've had a conversation where both of you have said, I don't want to be in the dating apps anymore. I feel like this is really going somewhere and I want to give this a try, full in, all in type of thing. And that comes up naturally and organically after a few dates, maybe a month or so of continuous dating. And you can be going on other dates, but maybe this person is like really coming out ahead and you're like, I really like spending time with them the most. And I feel like I look forward to hearing from them the most out of anyone that I'm dating right now. And they've got the most potential and I feel safe with them. I feel at home with them. I feel like I can be myself and I really see something continuing forward. Then you would say something like, I feel like this is going really well and I wonder what your thoughts are on us together. How do you see this moving forward? Maybe the person will bring it up instead of you. Then you will respond to them. And it's just one of those things where you're doing a bit of a dance in terms of getting to know them. How do you feel? What are your life circumstances? What are their life circumstances? And thinking about all those type of things. Of course, as she mentioned also, it's like she's doesn't have a lot of time to be meeting a million people. I'm not saying that you should be juggling 10 different people. I'd say 1 or 2 and possibly 3 at the same time. Like 3 seems like a bit much. I feel like I like this person the most. Then you can kind of decide and have the conversation. Don't make that decision pausing your profile on your own. You have to make that decision with the other person. It is a mutual give and take. So make sure that you're communicating with the people you're dating. Hopefully that answers that question. The second one is, what if you ask what does the yes and no feel like question, but don't feel anything or recognize any type of signal? This is a great question, and it refers to the episodes where I was talking about tapping into your intuition and figuring out what a yes and a no feels like in your body. If you don't feel anything, it just means you have to practice a little bit and spend some more time getting to know yourself, getting to know what it feels like to connect in with your body. It takes time. It takes a daily practice. It's like journaling every day, spending moments with your eyes closed, with your hands on your heart, or even laying down and closing your eyes and doing a body scan, starting at the bottom of your feet or starting at the top of your head and scanning all the way down to see what your body feels like, tuning in for any emotions, any memories, any symbols or things that are coming up as you connect to different parts of your body. And it's like exploration, discovery, getting to know who you are and how your body feels. I would spend more time doing that if it doesn't immediately come up as what does a yes and a no feel like. The basic premise that I was teaching was you would tune into your body, close your eyes, and ask, what is a yes? What does my body feel like when it's a yes? And then if you don't feel anything, or you don't know what the no feels like, or it just feels uncertain, I would go back and spend more time going in depth, self-exploration, a physical exploration, an emotional exploration. And it takes more time doing that. And make it fun, make it interesting, make it like this is a amazing true self journey I'm on, and I'm so excited to get to know myself and get to know what my body is telling me and get to know what my intuition is all about and how it speaks to me. And think of it as a really, really fun, epic quest or a journey. And that should help you to get more clear and more certain about your signals and what your yes and your no feels like. Thank you so much for that question. And I'm sure a lot of people will get something out of that. I wanted to refer to this question here. She says, could you talk further on discerning your no from a fear? I just ended a marriage that had many red flags before the marriage. I called my misgivings fear, but I can see now they should have been a loud no. Thank you so much for sharing. And I first of all just want to say, please don't blame yourself or beat yourself up for past decisions you've made. I talk a lot about my framework in this podcast over the past seasons, and I specifically talk about first learning awareness. Awareness is the first piece of my framework. And once you know, so what you're talking about is you became aware after the fact. And I want you to just say, that is a fact. I became aware afterwards, not while it was going on. The second part of my framework is acceptance. So always take that greater sense of awareness and move immediately into acceptance. In other words, I want you to love yourself through it. I want you to be able to say, that's okay. I accept the fact that at that time, who I was and the situation that I was going through, I did not pick up on those red flags, or I did not act on those red flags, and I went forward anyway, and that's okay. That was my decision. And at the time, it made perfect sense for me to do that. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with me for having made that decision. And the third part of my framework is the true self connection. I want you to take your awareness of, I went forward anyway from the red flags, and I made a decision I don't really like, and I'm willing to accept that. And I'm totally going to love myself through that experience. That is what I did. I did the best I could at the time. And I'm going to use all of that knowledge, all that awareness and acceptance, and I'm going to pour it into a new sense of connection with myself. I feel more intimate with myself. I know myself more deeply now. I know what my triggers have been, what I, maybe had trouble doing, or what some of the things that I could have learned or can learn now more so that I don't do that again in the future. You can see how you can really take this experience and move into more deeply loving, accepting, and inner knowing of myself moving forward. I just wanted to frame that out for you first before I answer that question, because it will give you a different answer. So discerning your no from a fear is really, again, about that experience of yourself. How connected are you with yourself? How much can you tune in and discern what is a no from a fear? Again, it goes back to my answer to the other question about having a daily practice and spending more time getting to know yourself, so that the answer becomes abundantly clear as you know yourself more, as you connect to yourself more, as you accept yourself more. The answers are almost rolling out like a red carpet. Like, wow, this is really clear now. I can see this because I've spent time getting to know myself. I've spent time accepting myself, and I've spent time really deeply connecting into my true self. Now, that sounds like a really, big overview, big picture kind of thing. And the more detailed answer I will give is asking yourself, what does the yes and the no feel like in my body? Knowing, what does a no feel like? What does my intuition do when I'm getting a no? Does my body say no in the sense of clenching my stomach? Does it say no as I feel like my throat is closing, or my heart feels like it's shutting down? Or what is my body doing when it's a no, when my intuition is a no? Then you can spend more time saying, okay, what does my body do when I'm afraid? What does my body do when I have a fear? Then going into that self-exploration. I hope that's helpful. It's really kind of a big picture answer, because I want you to look at it from big picture. I want you to get a different perspective, and to, most importantly, not beat yourself up for your past decisions and choices that you made. Okay, thank you so much for all the questions coming in, and I will do another every season. I do answer your burning dating questions and questions around self-discovery, anything to do with your intuition and dating. I would love to answer as a dating coach. And if you want the exact steps on how to create an intuitive dating plan, or how to master your intuition to find love, check out my Intuitive Path to Love audio course, which teaches you how to use your intuition to find love. It's a 4-part audio series. And you get the 7 guided meditations. They're love goddess meditations that will give you a taste of the journey within. So it's an archetypal goddess journey for each chakra. And learn to trust your intuition and begin attracting love with ease, clarity, and deep self-trust. I'll put the link for that in the show notes. And I want to thank you so much for being with me during this season, or if you've been with me from the beginning, or whatever path you're on, or whatever part of the journey you've joined me. I'm so happy to have you here, and I can't wait for you to join me in season 4. We're going to continue on this path, this love journey of dating after 40 and finding the love that feels like home and the love that you truly deserve and you truly desire. I'll close this off with my favorite saying. Say it with me. Remember, love is closer than you think.